welcome back. And this go round, we want to talk about the potential for the new city of South Fulton. I think we're all very proud of the work that was done to get the folks in South Fulton an opportunity to decide how they want to be governed. We've changed a little bit. We've got another individual that joined us to talk about this. You want to introduce yourself?
Well, thank you. I appreciate you inviting me back again. My name is Rodney Littles, and I'm a resident of South Fulton unincorporated area. I'm the president of Anatole Homeowners Association.
Okay. So one of the things that we've talked about extensively as it relates to the potential for the new city of South Fulton has to do with how the school system was going to be impacted. And who better to talk about that than our school board representative? You want to talk about it?
Thank you, Roger, so much for all you have done to get this to the point where the people can vote.
Thank you.
And one of the things that, if annexation were to happen, would be so devastating for the schools would be that the three schools that they wanted to where the annexation would occur, it would be A. Philip Randolph, Sandtown, and Westlake. If that annexation occurred, 1,800 students would be displaced. Approximately 1,800 students would be displaced, and we would have to put trailers or find some way to house those students. Those students would be unhoused at that point. Those three schools would cost approximately $54 million. Well, just one of them, Westlake, was built at $55 million. So it would be that would be three schools that we would lose taxpayer dollars on. Not only that, but when I talk to someone at APS, they have 101 schools and half the number of students that we have. We have 96,000 students and 100 schools. So I don't think they have the need for these schools. As a matter of fact, after I've talked to some of their school board members, they don't have a need for the schools if they were annexed and they had to take the schools.
So if the schools are underutilized, what happens then?
I guess they would be closed. I don't sit on that board. So the thing of it is that they could either close the schools or...
And if the schools were closed, what impact does that have on a community, to have three empty school buildings in your community?
That has a definite economic impact on the student. It has on the community. It has an impact on all of the community when you're sitting with empty buildings.
So you'd have a double impact. The school buildings are empty, it impacts that community. Then you have overcrowded schools in other communities, and that also has a negative impact, does it not?
It does.
Okay.
It really does. Not only that, but the teachers it impacts the teachers because they are concerned about where they're going to be for the next year. It impacts the students because they have been with the students that were in these schools all these years before, and it makes the big difference for them having to go. We are a charter district, and in that charter district, that would mean that we'd have to do some other things to promote the things that we've been doing over the years. It impacts the parents because they don't know exactly where their students are going to be for the next year. So it has a devastating impact on the entire community.
And it goes generations. If these children's education are interrupted, that gets passed down to generation.
And not only that,
hang on, we need the microphone.
But not only that, from talking to parents who were part of this last annexation, they're angry because they had to figure out how the seniors could get back over the Westlake. The juniors who were at Westlake realized that they were over now at Farrell or someplace else. And so it's very disruptive to every student that was a junior all the way down to freshman, and they're just heartbroken. And so, kids were saying if I had wanted to be in an APS school, my parents would have moved to Atlanta, but we don't want to be in that school system. So it's been devastating for those kids. So we know what the effects are.
This was one of the things, we tease each other about the Democrats and Republicans and all this sort of stuff. But the effort to get this bill passed was clearly bipartisan. And Carmelia, I want to thank you for your part in helping to push this thing through. We all had to work together on this one. This was one of those unique opportunities where we were able to put aside all of the differences that we might have as it relates to party and work together. And I'll never forget the friendship that we grew out of that. I'm not going to vote Republican, but I won't
get you to vote for it.
But I won't forget the friendship, and I really do appreciate it.
Amen.
Now, what we have the Republican community member, and then we have the Democratic community member. What's your thoughts on all of this?
I have had the opportunity to be in unincorporated South Fulton since moving here in '78 and have watched the transition. But in the transition, there was some collateral damage. Unincorporated Fulton County, I believe, had a stigma. Not only a stigma, but in that there was monies that were not being utilized in our area for the citizens that live there. And for those people in unincorporated Fulton County, if we can educate them to the fact that there's a local option sales tax that has been collected for years, that has been utilized in other places north of Interstate 20, and nothing that has been used for us, to the tune of $22 million a year.
Yeah, let me correct you just a little bit. The special tax is only spent in South Fulton. You're talking about the sales tax.
Sales tax.
Yeah, and that's not special. That's the sales tax that everybody pays. And what happens is that all of the sales tax that's collected is divided amongst all of the cities.
Municipalities are the only ones that can get that
exactly,
money.
Based on population.
Yes.
And because we were not a city, we did not get our share. And then I'm going to let you have back at it. But you said special service tax, so I want to make
Thank
sure
you for the correction.
it.
But again, the point remains that we have not been able to have those resources available to us.
Correct.
Maintaining in the entire process, or all the things that we could recognize with those monies. And I think we need to have the right to determine what we would like to have done, as opposed to having for years only one representative that spoke for all of unincorporated Fulton County, and those who live not in Fulton, South Fulton County, speaking for us. And that is a difficult thing. That's like someone coming to your home from somewhere else and say, this is what you're going to write your check for.
Exactly.
This is what you're going to do. And I don't believe any of the citizens of unincorporated Fulton County want that.
I agree.
And they have to have, this bill does one thing that has been something very disturbing. It gives the citizens of unincorporated Fulton County the right to vote.
Right to vote for what they want. Talk about some of the questions. I don't know anybody that wants to talk about some of the questions that people ask. Is the city going to be solvent?
Right, great question. I think the most important issue that Lou and Carmelia have been grappling with and talking to the legislators, and I've been up here, I had a great opportunity to work with her also, and I do appreciate the contribution she's made to this effort, but particularly you, Roger. You were able to talk across the aisle to folks that don't normally talk to you and convince them the important reason why we should have this opportunity to vote. And I believe everybody who's down here got elected through somebody voting for them.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yes, the fiscal issue, monies were raised to fund a study, independent study, by Georgia State University to confirm whether or not, before you even introduced the bill.
And the important part, who raised the money? Citizens.
It was citizens. I mean, $20, $100. Yeah, we raised the money. South Fulton United was the group that put that together. So anyway, the study came out and said that we would be viable and that we would have between $15 and $20-some-odd million surplus, depending upon the level of services. The important issue is that it was done independently, number one, and two, the county fiscal officer in a public meeting confirmed the amount of money that unincorporated should be getting had we been incorporated. So the study was proposed what it should be. The county confirmed it. So we're comfortable with the numbers. But quite frankly, we haven't been operating with a balance for several years as an unincorporated city. I call it the unincorporated city. And we've been drawing from our reserves. We depleted our $5 million surplus a couple of years in a row, and we were down to less than $100,000 as a balance.
And that would have been made up easily
Easily.
if we had our
Right.
share of that sales tax.
That's correct.
And not only that, but the Fulton County government itself did a resolution 6-0 in support of the citizens' right to vote. Now, when you talk to some of the commissioners, they clearly say that from a county perspective, it is in their best interest that the county get out of the business of municipal services and turn it over to a group of people who could better self-determine and make decisions on spending that money. The county doesn't want to be in the business of continuing to operate that service.
Well, let's talk about the practicalities too, okay? Police, fire, other city services.
We're already
Talk about
providing
that.
them. Right now, what a lot of people don't understand is that in that special service district, we're already operating as a city. Okay, so we have police. You see them every day. Who pays for that? Comes out of the special service district. The planning department, land use, zoning and all of that is located off of Fulton Industrial Boulevard. Why? Because our area is the only remaining area of the county that requires a planning staff, and that planning staff belongs to us. So does the fire department. So we're already paying for municipal services out of those monies that we contribute every year that goes into that special pot. So unlike Tucker, unlike the other cities that have come on board, we're unique because for 10 years, since 2007, we have been providing municipal services. We have. The citizens have already been providing municipal services. It's just been through the auspices of another party, which was the county government.
So I know we got the study done by Georgia State,
Yes,
but even a better study is the past 10 years.
that's correct.
Is that a correct statement?
That's correct.
You know, and the reality is that if we don't do this, then we run the risk, as Brenda said, we run the risk of interfering with our children's schools. We run the risk of affecting our property taxes as it relates to, not property tax, but our property values as it relates to lowering the value. But there's another question that always comes up. Why can't we just stay the way we are?
Oh, great question.
So why don't we talk about
Great
that real quick?
question. Well, if anyone looks at the county budget over the last 3-4 years, they'll see the answers right there, very clear. Okay, we've been operating at a $5 million deficit almost every year. It's been made up from not spending money, saving money, and revenue is a little bit higher than anticipated. But every time they've done a budget, it's been projected to have a loss. Now, to me, if I ran my household, my wife would get my BUT for not making sure that budget was balanced in my household. It's the same thing for us as a municipal area. We need to be balanced. So the facts speak for themselves. Now, as he said, these local option sales tax funds, that doesn't even count the user fees, the franchise fees that we would get as a municipality. So it's very obvious that that is an important issue and the reason why we should be.
Okay, we got to
But
talk
not
quick
only
because we're
that,
going to run out of time here.
And the commissioners are going to push at the legislature. This last session, you had annexation maps that were produced by everybody. And people will find themselves in cities where they don't want to be. So this is the last opportunity because we can't remain unincorporated because the county doesn't want us to. Other cities want to cherry pick, properties. So this is our opportunity to close that door and nail the nail in the coffin to keep any further legislation from coming through. Because if we don't do it this time, next year's session, Atlanta
can't
and
do it
everybody
again.
else, it's going to be coming.
Okay, last point that I want to get, because this keeps coming up too. Fulton Industrial. What's your take on that piece?
I got a call on that just a little while ago. The bottom line is that the business owners and the property owners in the Fulton Industrial Corridor would like to be part of the new city.
Right.
There are some technicalities that occur in that it is an independent, constitutionally authorized landmass. So, once we become a city, they could contract with the city for those services until such a time as the issue is resolved in the courts, and then they would like to become annexed into the new city. That's from the folks who own property and own businesses on Fulton
And
Industrial
I've
Boulevard.
talked to many of them myself and concur. Well, I think we covered most of it. We can get together again at another time and talk about this a little more. As we go through this process, we want people to just go out. The whole reason why I sponsored this bill and pushed it was to give us an opportunity to go out and get the facts, learn all of the pieces of it, and then vote intelligently. So don't sign any petitions, don't do any of this stuff. Get the information so that you know what you're doing, and then, as I said, vote with intelligence. thanks again for joining me, and I hope everybody had a good time.
Yes, sir.
And we'll see you again soon. All right.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Take care.